We are going to put 3 cups of flour into our big old bowl.
Do you sift it or anything, Holly?
No, you don't have to sift it. You're good.
Okay.
For this recipe at least. And then we're going to add in 1.5 cups of Crisco or vegetable shortening. Same thing. I love her.
She runs around the house and says that all the time. Measure with the heart.
Now we're just going to gradually work in the Crisco and the flour until it resembles like coarse cornmeal. You can do this with a pastry cutter and it's a lot easier. I have a fork, so that's all we're going to use. And basically you just keep mushing it until it gets to the consistency that you need. I like to just take a little bit of the Crisco at a time and fold it in. We're about at the consistency that we need, how it's just like coarse cornmeal kinda. It would probably get it a little more fine with a pastry cutter, but we're gonna roll it out in a bit anyway, so it's not gonna matter. In a separate bowl, we're going to crack an egg and beat it for a minute and then add it to our mixture. Now we're going to add in 5 tablespoons of cold water. I like to do ice water because it keeps the dough from getting too hot. And then it would be sticky. A teaspoon of salt. And then lastly, we're going to do 1 tablespoon of distilled white vinegar. This will actually make 2 pie crusts once it's all done. I like some substantial pie crust. It could possibly make 3 if you like really thin pie crust. But I'm going to divide it in half, and instead of using the other half for another pie, I'm going to use it for the lattice on top of our apple pie. I'm going to have 2 even portions of dough like this, and we're going to put it in the fridge for just a minute while I clean up the rest of this mess, and that's just going to help it from sticking to the counter or the rolling pin when I roll it out in just a moment. You'll want to sit it out for about 15 minutes before you roll it. That way it'll be soft enough to roll. I like to make up a double batch when I do it. That way I have some for the freezer as well. Right where they're supposed to on that pie dish, and then I'm gonna pleat the edges with a fork. Typically, if I was going to bake something in my pie crust, I wouldn't bother with poking holes in it. I don't really know how much apples these are going to take. It might take both jars that I have. But just in case it's not quite the fullest of pies, I'm going to go ahead and prick the edges around the pie crust. That way it doesn't bubble up. Jump in, sister. this is already canned apple pie filling, I don't have to wait for it to cook, so I'm just gonna cook all of the crust all together.